Some within the resistance during World War II knew of others assisting the Jews, the Gypsies, the homosexuals. But most kept everything secret for their safety. They had to. It was all they could do to stay alive. She waited quietly outside the Stalag so she could help British pilots capture their Third Reich. But when they escaped at 6 a.m. under a blanket of the Nazi gunfire, they all fell, coloring the snowy fields of crimson red. Despite losing her life accused in his silence, she never knew her relatives, Johanna, Petronella, Marie, would all also have a similar fate and be killed at the hands of the Third Reich. Marie was a lowlander and had never got involved in politics, but she couldn't sit by and do nothing when her pharmacist, her daughter's teachers, her next-door neighbors were shipped to distant concentration camps. Marie stayed awake through the night on her last night alive, with a candle lit in her front window, waiting for the two men, Jacob and Chaim, so she could conceal them behind a plaster-lined mock wall. Before they would actually travel on to safety, she stared all night at the barren road near the train tracks and forest edge, and only saw two figures in the distance once daylight broke. So she left that candle burning, left her daughters, grabbed her coat and ran out the front door to take them in. But when they were only 20 meters apart, she saw the dark truck coming toward them, littered with swastikas. So she turned across the train tracks and tried to get to the still booming rows of trees. Jacob and Chaim followed. The SS didn't even get out of their truck, and they started shooting at them. The SS had no compunction for killing the Jews, or the homosexuals, or the resistance. When we saw Chaim shot first, her only thought was that Chaim is Hebrew for life, before she and Jacob were both gunned down. The squad leader saw the male Jewish noses, could identify the strong Dutch female, and thought about what fun he could have had with her. He scanned the skyline for a possible home and signaled the men to go after spotting one house in the distance down the road. They violently knocked on the door after seeing a candle in the window. They beat again the door, and at the door before a frightened 16-year-old Johanna made sure in the dark that everyone was hidden, wondered where her mother was, and finally opened her front door. The three SS men stood there, each with greed in their eyes. "Wo ist dein Vater?" She told them her father died years ago. The younger sister, Petronella, walked toward her before he asked, "Wo ist deine Mutter?" She said she didn't know where her mother was. The three men walked in, and they told her this was a random search, and they asked if anyone else was at home. Saw the unpainted plaster-lined wall after Johanna said no. The leader walked over the wall, knocked, thought he heard a noise, and then asked if this room was smaller than before. And before Johanna could answer the last search, the squad leader stepped back, and the other two men pointed their Lugers at the unpainted wall adorned with a single oil painting. In an effort to somehow alert the behind-the-wall small trapped family, young Petronella said she wanted to save the painting. Then she walked toward a painting on the wall when they opened fire and killed young Petronella where she stood. Johanna muffled her screams in shock and disbelief. "Warum did you do this? Why did you do this?" was all she could ask. The squad leader walked to her, jerked her head back by her hair. "Sie was das Hässliche." She was the ugly one, he told her, before he took her to a bedroom to rape her, while the other two men stood guard and listened for noises from that fake wall before they took turns raping Johanna. When one of them would hear a noise in that unpainted wall, they fired one shot. They didn't know if it hit anyone, but the noise would stop. After they finished raping the Dutch girl repeatedly, the nearly unconscious Johanna smelled petrol. They poured everywhere in her home. They poured more on the unpainted wall before they left the house to set the flame. They stood outside and waited in case any vermin tried to run free. They all had their guns pointed. They were ready. As the flames of this little furnace died down, they lit their smokes on the dying embers and got in the truck. Driving away, the three were pleased, proud they saved space on the next train to Brooklyn.